Without any further ado, Pher Sturz. Thanks, buddy.
Am I getting, was that intro music I'm getting? I love it. This is too early today, guys. Too early to be doing comedy. Let me just... Thank you for the intro music. You know what, fuck it. Ugh. Too early. It's too goddamn early, but honestly, I'm okay with doing comedy this early in Minneapolis. It's one of my favorite places to do comedy. Thank you, Fearless, so much for having me here. I love it. I love it here. This is a good place. This is a good theater. I will apologize. I've been pretty sick lately. Can't stop doing backside 720 kickflip the tail grabs on my skateboard, which is tough because I've had the flu. No, I mentioned I'm from Eau Claire, which I mean, like, compared to Minneapolis is way less cool. I mean, Minneapolis, you guys had Prince, and I think Prince is going to keep the cool level of this area up for like the next 100 years. Eau Claire, we've got Bon Iver. So you're comparing like a guy with like the sexiest voice, best guitar playing abilities ever, to a guy that will record birds getting stuck in wind chimes and then puts it out and calls it an album. Like, that's... But I mean, Eau Claire, it's not that people are like, oh, that's so far away. It's really not. I mean, if you're familiar with where it is, Eau Claire is about an hour drive from here. So it's an easy trip. Except recently for Christmas, I got the J.R.R. Tolkien GPS. Decided to try that out on my way here. Took me 2 weeks and made me walk the whole way. Made me just like described all these vivid mountain ranges. It's like, come on, we're in the Midwest. Like, Rib Mountain is the tallest thing we've got, and that's in La Crosse. Going the wrong way there, Tolkien. Explained all the hobbits that followed me here, though. Little people, sorry. All right, I get it, guys. I know you're probably sitting there like, this guy, I can't put my finger on him, and I just want to get the elephant out of the room right out of the way. Yes, I was pretty good in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. How the fuck did I pull that celebrity look? Like, I have a friend that looks like Norman Reedus, you know, Daryl from The Walking Dead, and people can't get enough of him. Like, he doesn't even have to say hi to a girl and like she's got her phone number out. Nobody has ever said, hey, you were the guy in Spaceballs, fuck me. Like, that has never happened. I look like Rick Moranis, and I sound like a Muppet that Jim Henson was not proud of. That's... No, we're not going to put you in the Dark Crystal 2. Fuck off. There are worse things. Like, there are worse comparisons, I guess, that can be made about me. One time I dated a girl, who said this, in all honesty. We were hanging out in a hot tub, and she looked at me and she said, you know, you look like you would have had a hard time in Nazi Germany. Yeah, and you look like a decision I'm going to regret in about 10 months. This is... What a lovely, like, there are, like, I get what she was saying, right? You always try and guess, like, what somebody's, it's fun to know somebody's heritage, but, like, you could have maybe phrased it in a far less offensive way. I mean, there's easier ways to do it. You could have been like, you know, you look like you've got some good maternal lineage. Is that, like, say it in a way that doesn't make me realize that I'm dating a low-key Nazi. Like, that's... Like, I don't know anything about, you're not right about my heritage, but I'm guessing that your grandparents were, like, the world's worst, like, Juden hunters. Like, their Jewish neighbors in Germany were like, we're fine. They're not gonna, they don't know. We're good. That was a bad relationship, that was. But that's the risk you take with relationships, is they're pretty much a gamble. When you get into a relationship, you're setting up yourself up to give your soul to somebody, your very being, and you're saying, hey, try not to fuck me up. And 9 times out of 10, it doesn't usually work. Like, those odds are not good. It's like going into a casino, putting it all on 22 black and saying, let her ride. You're probably going to lose out, which is why, honestly, I think they should be offering, whenever you get into a relationship, a form of relationship insurance. Right? Wouldn't that be good? Like, if it fails, you can file a claim, get back some of that, like, money and travel expenses, and go drink to forget. That's the way to do it. Although, honestly, I'd probably treat relationship like phone insurance and just say, forget that. I'm going to play with fire. Phone insurance is important, though, because if you don't have it, you know, something could go wrong. Your screen could crack, or you could get some water damage, or your phone could decide it wants to start banging other phones without telling you. And then you wish you had phone insurance. Dating is really hard, though, at my age, because I'm 27, and Eau Claire is a college town. It's about 65,000 people. 15,000 of that are college students. Huge college population, which is why it's really difficult to date, because everybody is much, much younger than me. You can't really follow that divide by 2, add 7 rule, where that's like the okay age to date. But you can't really ask somebody, hey, how old are you? Like, not only is that creepy as shit, but it's rude. It's not socially acceptable. So honestly, like, if I see a cute guy or girl in a bar and I want to find out their age, like, I don't make with the small talk. I just cut right to the chase and ask them where they were when 9/11 happened. If they don't remember, they're too young for me. Also, they're not American. Never forget. Dating in real life, though, it's fine. I'm actually engaged. My fiance graciously let me drag her out of bed at 2:30 this morning to get here in time for drunken story time, which was a lot of fun. If you guys saw that, that was a good time. Do more of that kind of thing. But nature, going back to, but it's great. She actually, my fiance moved in with me recently, which is great because I've always wanted to know what it's like to pay half the rent and only sleep in 1/3 of my bed. This is my corner. Okay, I'll take it. I get this and 3 inches to the wall. She's great. My fiance, again, is wonderful. But like, dating is hard for humans. But holy shit, is dating in nature horrifying? Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with anglerfish. Like, you guys have heard of anglerfish, right? They're what would happen if, like, Mary Shelley, Tim Burton, and H.R. Geiger all somehow, like, had a baby together and spat it out into the ocean. That's how you do it. That's how you spit them out, right? You spit out babies. Just spat out into the ocean and propagated. And that's an anglerfish. And the thing about anglerfish is that when they mate, the male gets completely absorbed by the female. The male dies. Right? No, that should have gotten a woo from every woman in this. Been like, yeah. Something like that. So way to go, nature, for making me look like a non-committal asshole when it comes to dating. Male anglerfish out there dying for it. And I couldn't even get a dinner date for the longest time. But maybe nature has it right, ladies in the audience. Maybe that's how things should be. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the news, but there was I think it was out in California, there was an aquarium that lost one of its sharks recently. And the way that it lost its shark is that it was a male shark, and it was eaten by the female in the tank because she got sick of him bumping into her. They kept noticing he kept bumping into her. They came in the next day. He was half eaten with the pieces of him in her mouth. Maybe snarl a little bit on the streets, ladies. I don't know. Like, guys walk by like, hey, baby, what's up? I'll eat your face. Suddenly guys leave you alone and stop the catcalling, maybe. I don't know. Nature seems all right. The female praying mantis rips off the heads of the male afterwards. That's fair. I mean, it's finally you start expecting good sex from men at that point. If they realize that if they screw up, their head's coming off. That joke hit way too close to home for somebody in the audience. You're going to hit all your exes up later tonight and be like, you're lucky. You got off easy. I would like to say hi to everybody watching live streaming. Of course, this is Fearless Labs or Fearless Comedy's fundraiser right now, so there's a lot of people out there watching via live stream. So if any point I lose the crowd in here, this could very quickly turn into a cam girl show up here. I am only wearing a bathrobe. Despite how horrifying nature is, though, there's a lot of anytime I see like somebody like peeking around a corner, I think to myself like that could be a centaur until I see the other half of them. There could be half a horse around that corner. I don't know. Maybe centaurs exist. Everybody is always half of a centaur until you see their bottom half. It's like if I'm out at the lake and I see somebody pop up and I'm like, mermaid? Oh, well, it's fins. It's like the exact opposite of how I am if I see like the top half of a bull on a farm. I'm like, run, it's a minotaur! Oh, it's a full bull. Full tar. It's full tar. Don't gotta worry, guys. I'm blanking on my Greek mythology. Who killed the minotaur? Anybody? Whatever. I'll look it up later. What was that? Prometheus. No, Prometheus was the guy. Okay, I'm gonna go on a thing about I don't have this on my set list, but I'm gonna go on a thing about Prometheus here. Like, what happened in our future where we lose the last half of every single Greek myth ever written? Because how else can you explain how shitty we are at naming spaceships? Why the fuck would you name a ship Icarus or Prometheus? Like, what are you doing? It's like somebody sat down in that planning meeting. It's like, yeah, we're going to go reignite the sun, about the guy who slipped the surly bonds of Earth. We're going to call him Icarus. Did you read the rest of that? Because he doesn't come back from that. That is a 300-yard drop into mush. Or Prometheus, like, oh yeah, we're gonna go explore these new worlds and give fire to humanity like the god did to. It's like, yeah, but if you didn't read the last half of that, you wouldn't know that he was punished for the rest of eternity by having eagles eat his liver every single day. Oh, but there's no eagles in space, you say. Yeah, but there are aliens with smaller aliens for mouths, and your liver is your face. I feel like we as a species need to start naming our spaceships like USS Everybody Lives or Federation Ship Hot Sex with Sexy Aliens. That's what we're going to do. We're going to slip the bonds of Earth, explore the galaxy, and bond with it. That's what I'm looking forward to in the future. That's why I love Mass Effect so much. Mass Effect lets you live out that fantasy of, yeah, no, this is what I do in space. Sleep with aliens. Where was I? Oh, right, centaurs. That's where I was. I mean, I don't think centaurs are real. Although, I'll be honest. I used to believe in the Loch Ness Monster. Don't anymore. Not after years of him not showing up to my Little League games, my violin recitals. It's just hard to believe in something that doesn't believe in you, Wait, did I say? I meant my father, not the Loch Ness Monster. Don't owe that shit. I've come to terms with this. He's not going to hear that joke anyway. He doesn't come to these things. I'm never going to have that awkward discussion with my dad. Why'd you make that joke about me? I don't even think he knows I do comedy. Thank you. My mom's another story, though. My mom is... So a little bit of background. I'm 27 years old, and I have a daughter. She's 7. I had her when I was 20. Was very, people are like, oh, how'd you handle that? It's fine. I was a Pokemon master throughout pretty much all of elementary school. Same concept. But my mom, when she became a grandma, a switch flipped. And, I don't know if there's a starter kit that all grandmas get when they become grandmas, but suddenly her house was filled with, crocheted doilies and candy jars filled with old M&Ms. Don't know where they came from. But one thing she also started to do, which I benefited greatly from, was that she started baking. Never done that before till she became a grandma. Don't know where it came from. It's like they were like, yes, you have new responsibilities now. You must always bake cookies for your grandchild. And occasionally she'll just send over bags of cookies to the house. It's awesome. I'll dig into they'll randomly show up in the mail sometimes. It's amazing. And I'll be there just chowing down on these things. My daughter will be like, Daddy, I want one. It's like, you already ate today. But there was a betrayal of trust recently with my mom and the cookies she sends over. I was digging into these things, and I was digging into them, and I was eating these. It was 1 chocolate chip, 2 chocolate chip, 3 chocolate. It was amazing. They were the best chocolate chip cookies I'd ever had in my life, until I bit into the 4th cookie. Do you know what happened then? It was an oatmeal raisin cookie. And don't get me wrong, I love oatmeal raisin cookies, but I was fixated at that point on chocolate chip. It'd be like if I went out to the bars one night and came home with a cute petite girl, and she said, give me a minute, went to the bathroom, and came out in full dominatrix gear. I'm okay with either. I was just expecting sweet. Either way, I get a cookie, so whatever. I'm going to drink for a minute straight because I'm already halfway through my set. Don't know how that happened.
Tell us about your weird day.
I like that my fiance is out there yelling my set at me. We don't have this in Wisconsin, Killebrew. That's not something we have. It's good stuff. Do we have any teachers in the audience? I know in the arts there's usually a lot of artists, teachers, and there's a good Venn diagram. If you're watching at home and you're a teacher, just wave your hand. Got 2 of you out there. I would hate to be a teacher. And not because I love kids. They're great. It's great to teach. You want to teach little minds, get them to think about the world differently, find the world on their own, inspire them to learn at their own pace, that kind of thing. But you also have to be really inspiring as a teacher, which I can do. But I just worry that not only with inspiring the good kind of kids, you can inspire some real bad people. I wonder if there was just some art teacher in Austria being like, no, Adolf, not what I meant when I said follow your dreams. I'd hate to be sitting at home one night, get a phone call from the police, be like, yeah, is this Mr. Sturz? Yeah, what's up? Yeah, this is the police. We just arrested Colin Martin. Do you recognize that name? Well, yeah, I taught little Colin in 7th grade. He always said, I always told him his writing was really good and he could do whatever he wanted when he grew up. Did he ever write that book? Yeah, no, we just arrested him for killing 8 people. Colin he's the South Side Strangler, like, and we know to call you because every time he did it, he would leave a note being like, "You told me to follow my dreams, Mr. Sturz. This is for you." I just don't want to be responsible for standing delivering a serial killer. Is all I'm saying. How do I reach these kids and teach them not to kill? So A+ job, good job to teachers out there. You're inspiring better than I ever could. Wear a bathrobe on stage, I thought. It'd be funny at 6:30 in the morning. These things, this is way too warm. I'm not, no. Let me know how the live stream is going. If people are throwing $20, here, $20 to take it off, $20 to put it back on after I take it off. No. So we are approaching this time of year where we're going to start seeing some bad weather. You always get that with the spring into summer rollover, and there's going to be probably some overly severe weather that's going to cause some damage here very soon, which sucks. But the best part about humanity is that we accept it, we rebuild, we move on. Especially if you're down in Florida or Texas where hurricanes happen almost all the fucking time. And rather than realize that they're living in Florida and packing up and moving somewhere that's livable and not filled with all kinds of crazy, they stay there. And that's cool. That's good. But there's going to be some people that don't accept that that's just the natural order of things. And it happens always without fail after a really bad natural disaster. There's going to be somebody that's going to take to the air. They're going to say, who's responsible for this horrible, horrible disaster we just had, this loss of life, this loss of property, all this? The gays. Which is such bullshit, because if I had known that being gay meant getting to be an X-Man, I wouldn't be doing this whole sort of straight thing that I'm doing. You can control the weather if you're gay? Sign me the fuck up. If I'm if I'm a power bottom, do I get laser eyes? Because Cyclops was gay, right? That was the whole point of that? No, it's got to be weather control? Fine, sign me up. Finally a reason to like dick other than it just being fun sometimes. I'm lying. I'm not mostly straight. I am what they call pansexual. Thank you. Thank you. For those of you that aren't familiar with that term, it means that my sexual attraction to somebody is not based on what they qualify as their gender. I am all over the board on that. Which is the best way I can describe that is imagine that it's 11:30 on a work day and everybody's like, "Hey, what do you want to get for lunch today?" And you're like, "Kind of want everything. Steak? Do you want a burger? Fish? No, everything. Get me to a buffet. Just a buffet." Don't ever ask a pansexual to play baseball, though. We're terrible. We play for every team and we swing at everything. Just. Our baseball team does have Freddie Mercury on it, though. So, yay, go team by Pan Poly. We got it. Got that shit. I've liked this. I love this audience, and I especially love you at home, audience. You looking right at you. That's my camera, right? Do I have cameras all over the place, or is it just the one? It's over there. What's that one then? That's the back one. That's the back. Okay, got it. So I need to look into that one when I say I've loved having this discussion with you, audience at home. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about a day that I had recently. It's kind of weird. On my way to work, I ran over a bird. And I've had people say it flew in front of your car and you hit, no, it was crossing the street on foot and I ran it over. And I feel really bad because I didn't slow down. Because you see a bird and your first instinct is, oh, that thing's gonna fly away. Like evolution gave it an out. Like this isn't gonna be a problem. Except this particular bird was just like, no, this walking thing is nice. And now I've become the bad guy in a story that a mama bird is gonna tell her baby birds when they don't want to learn how to fly. Oh, you don't want to fly, huh? My mama bird smokes and is from New Jersey. Well, your daddy's friend Carlisle didn't want to fly either, and he got run down by the blue Nissan Versa monster. The only way that it could be worse is if I found out that was that bird's first experience walking across the road. Like, its whole life, it has overexerted itself, like flying and keeping itself upright. And it was just like, no, fuck it. I'm going to take the next step in evolution. Actually, maybe that wouldn't be so bad. I just stopped an uprising. You're welcome. Snuffed that out before it could start. No Planet of the Crows happening here, guys. So to calm my nerves after that, because that was a rough thing. I went to my favorite gas station. I'm not going to mention which one it is because they're not sponsoring me. And after this joke, they're not going to want to sponsor me. But I went to this gas station to get some tea because I don't drink alcohol to solve my problems. I drink alcohol to ignore my problems. There's a difference there. And as I was getting my tea, I noticed on the shake machine that they have there, it said, now proudly serving glazed donut milkshakes. I don't know that proudly is the word that I'd use there. Like maybe, hey, not happy to say it, but we've got it. Disappointedly serving, maybe. Like one time Jeff in marketing went over to Steve in marketing and say, hey, wouldn't it be fucked up if we like blended a glazed donut and milk together with ice cream and turned it into a milkshake? And Steve in marketing was like, holy shit, that's terrible. Let's see how far we can push this before somebody says no. And nobody did say no. They kept pushing it forward. And now we have exactly what Friedrich Nietzsche warned us about, the abyss of milkshakes. It was pretty good, though. I'm not going to lie. It was tasty. So, but as I got out to my car, and it was kind of rainy that day, I turned on my windshield wipers, and I heard, like, you know, most windshield wipers, they give you the sound that you like to hear, you know. Except mine did not make that sound. Mine was like, noticed that on the passenger side, my windshield wiper had vanished. That in the span of the 6 minutes that I was in the gas station, somebody had jacked the little windshield wiper off of my car. Oh no, you should. And like I'm a pretty reasonable guy. Like I like to imagine that everybody does stuff for a reason. You know, if I see somebody stealing food, I imagine, well, they're probably really hungry. If I see somebody stealing clothes, it's like, oh, they're probably too poor to afford clothes. If I see somebody stealing money, I'm like, oh, they probably got elected to Congress. Cutting edge political humor. So I like trying to justify why anybody would steal the little windshield wiper. And I just hope that somebody can see clearly on their motorized unicycle going down the highway. That on the rainy day when they flip that switch and this thing, they'll think of me and think, I hope that guy didn't mind having to spend another $14 on a little windshield wiper because I needed this. So I'm gonna tell a little history story. So I went to college for broadcast journalism and history, and I always really learning about the things in history that you don't really learn about. Like you learn the big stories about like, George Washington led the battle at Trenton. They defeated the mercenary army on Christmas Day. What you don't really learn is that, like, yeah, they won the battle because the German mercenaries had been up drinking all night, and not a single one was awake because they were hungover as shit. George Washington raided the camp while everybody was too hungover to even respond. Like that kind of stuff. But one of my favorite stories is the Battle of Trafalgar between the British Navy and the French Navy. And what happened during the Battle of Trafalgar is that the great British Admiral Horatio Nelson, war hero extraordinaire. Everybody fucking loved this guy. Like, he was like the rock star of Great Britain at the time when it came to military engagements. Like, he could do anything. And he was most famously known during this battle. He went and he said, "Every man here must do his duty." It was an inspiring thing. Like, oh my God, like, how are we going to win this? Well, if everybody just does what they're supposed to do, things are going to be fine. Unfortunately, during the Battle of Trafalgar, Admiral Horatio Nelson gets killed. Died during the battle. Pretty early on, actually. Like, he was doing a thing, I think he got picked off by a sniper, if I remember properly. Somebody on a French ship had a good beat on him. Bam, took him down. Died rather early on in the battle. But the British still won. They still beat the French Navy. It was a huge victory. It was a huge turning point in that war. Kind of started pushing the French out of the Gibraltar area. It was great. And now in Trafalgar Square in Britain, there's a giant statue of Admiral Horatio Nelson. Everybody loves him. And that's usually the story you're told in history class, that's how that went. What they don't tell you is that it's a very long trip from like off the coast of Gibraltar there back to Britain. It's about I think if I remember correctly, about a month and a half journey by sea if the wind is good. So they needed somewhere to store this war hero's body. Like, they're not just going to dump him out into the ocean like yesterday's newspaper. So what they did is they stored his body in a barrel of rum. Yeah, to keep it, it's alcohol, keep it fresh, that good thing. So heavy barrel, full of rum, body of this war hero. It's great. They get back to Britain, and they're like, oh my God, we lost Admiral Nelson. Prepare an extravagant burial ceremony for him. Bring out the body. And when they grabbed the barrel, they noticed it was significantly lighter than when they left the coast of Spain. And that's because, as sailors do when they get bored, they like to drink. And at some point during this month and a half to 2 month journey back, someone realized they were running out of rum, looked at the Admiral Nelson barrel and said, hey, stay with me on this. Does anybody really get, like, who's it going to hurt? Who's this hurting? They drank the essence of Admiral Nelson on the way back to Britain. Barrel was completely void of all rum, just the body of a war hero, which honestly is a pretty good, like, do that at my funeral. Just throw me in a barrel of whiskey and have at it. Like, that's the true hero's burial. Got a couple more things here. I'm probably going to unfortunately end a little bit early, which is fine. But I don't know if you guys, let's see, what day is it? Is it April 1st yet? Yes. It is April 1st. Again, it's too goddamn early. But that means that tomorrow and Monday is opening day of baseball. Woo! Yeah. Anybody skipping work Sunday? Do the Twins play at Target Field on Monday, or are they away? Who knows? Whatever. I'm a Brewers fan. I'm anticipating disappointment like I always do every single season. So we're not too much unlike Minnesota, you and I. But I love baseball. Baseball is one of my favorite things in the entire world. And it's led to some of, like, the finest moments in history. Like, I don't know if you guys remember this. It was back in 2015, game, I want to say 4 of the ALDS between Toronto and Texas. tie game. It's been a back and forth all game long. There was weird shit that happened the whole game. And finally, Jose Bautista gets up to the plate, gets a pitch that's just a little bit too much in his wheelhouse, drives home a 3-run home run, and as he stands there and watches it leave, he looks the pitcher dead in the eye, throws his bat over his shoulder, and takes his time walking the bases. Caused a huge fight to break out, pissed everybody off. Like, Jose Bautista's Canadian, but that was the most American thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, he plays for a Canadian team, and, like, that was cool. And for months after that, even after the World Series was done, there were think pieces written by every single sports columnist that had anything to do with baseball about whether or not flipping your baseball bat after a home run is okay. Whether it's sportsman, if you should just hit the home run, walk the bases, do whatever. Whether or not it's setting a good example for the children is the big argument that happened, which is such bullshit because there are millions of kids out there that dream of being in the majors, and you're going to tell me that if they hit a home run in a major league playoff game, they can't enjoy what they just did? I'm 27 and I still have fantasies about what I would do if I were to hit a home run in a Major League Baseball game. I'm not going to Tebow this and end up in the majors anytime soon. But I still imagine what it would be like if Clayton Kershaw was there. I was going up against him. It's, two men on. We're down by 1. Bottom of the 9th. And he throws that low and away slider on me. And I crush it. Like, that thing is gone. That's not coming back. Yeah, I'm not only am I going to flip my bat, I'm going to hang on to that and ride that shit like a hobby horse down the first baseline. As I round first, that bat's going over my shoulder, and on my way to second, I'm pulling Roman candles out of my socks and shooting them into the outfield. Dodge this one, Yasiel. As I hit second, I'm dropping down on my belly and doing the worm to third. And as I round third base on my way to home, I look down the third baseline, and what do I see? But a beautiful dinner spread with the finest Alaskan halibut flown in, a 4-string quartet playing Vivaldi's Four Seasons, and Clayton Kershaw's wife waiting for me. I get all the way to the table, sit down, I wine and dine Mrs. Kershaw, and I look at her, and she looks at me and says, "Hey, Pher, do you want to bang?" It's my baseball fantasy, okay? If I want to cuckold Clayton Kershaw, I'm going to fucking do it, okay? And we do, and it's great. And then I touch down on home plate, and I flip the bird to Kershaw. That'll teach you to throw load away on me, you piece of garbage. That's only exciting if that happens live, though. I've got to say, baseball on the radio, not so much. I'll watch a game on TV. I prefer to go to the games. It's way better to be there in person. What was that? Okay. It's way better to be there in person. But on the radio, you can't pay me enough to listen to that bullshit. Baseball on the radio is a repetition of statistics in between actual gameplay. And I imagine that if, the announcer were to have a breakdown on air, nobody would know. Nobody's going to be like, "Hey, what just happened?" I imagine that it happens like this, all right? Imagine we're there, and we're here in the bottom of the third inning. Clayton Kershaw pitching against Ryan Braun. And, of course, Kershaw pitching a 2.32 ERA against right-handed batters in the bottom of the third inning when it's 73 degrees and sunny out in July with a breeze going 5 miles north-northeast. And Ryan Braun, of course, batting an exceptional 2.73 against lefties when the conditions are the exact same. Of course, the Brewers are all back from a 7-game away stretch. They're all happy to be home. Not me, though. I got home and found a note left on the counter by my wife. I don't know when she's going to be back. And the windup and the pitch. Swing and a miss from Ryan Braun. 0-1 count. Yeah, Braun likes to take a whack at those first pitches, which is why you never really see him make contact on that first one. He kind of likes to see what he's dealing with, but he can expect a slider from Kershaw on the next pitch, which he throws 75% of the time in the bottom of the third inning when those conditions match the conditions I mentioned earlier. Of course, the Brewers going 5-2 on that away game stretch. If they keep that up, all signs point to them making it to the playoffs. I wish I had paid attention to the signs of an unhappy marriage. I don't know if I'm ever going to see my kids again. And the windup and the pitch. Just a bit outside. 1-1 count for Ryan Braun. And hey, come on out tomorrow to Family Day at Miller Park and cherish what I took for granted for so long as I wait for the cold, steely grip of death to take me from this horrendous existence. And the windup and the pitch. Oh, that's a deep drive out to left field. He got all of that one. It is going. It is going. It is gone. Oh, my God, she's gone! She's gone! She's never coming! I'll never see her again! 1-0 Brewers. I'm actually going to... baseball is... It's so much easier to keep track of sports thanks to Facebook, isn't it? Like, I forgot that the Bucks were even playing last night until I was on Facebook and saw that they were down against the Pistons. Thankfully, they won. They're going to make it to the playoffs. Sorry about your team, Timberwolves. You got 2 more years of a rebuild left. It's fine. You'll get there eventually. But people, like there's good things on Facebook, and then there's really bad things on Facebook. You know the kind of, like I saw somebody... one of my friends posted a quote that said, "If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best." Which sounds like a challenge. Because, like, what if your worst is that you leave the toilet seat up, or you forget to rinse milk out of the milk carton when it's empty? What if your worst is that you're a serial killer? What if they found, like, the 4th body, like, just gutted from, like, a mile away from your apartment, and this is like the 4th time this has happened in like a 5-week span, right? So you leave work early because you're like, oh my God, what's happening? And you get home, and you get in your house and you're like, honey, you're never going to believe what they just found. And you hear a muffling noise from the bathroom, and you go in there, and your girlfriend has a dude naked tied up in the bathtub with a knife to his chest. And you realize, oh my God, she's the Southside Slasher. I don't think you're going to ask me to accept you at that point. Like, that's pretty obviously your worst at that point. Like, what am I going to say to, like, oh, honey, at your best, you're a good listener. And the sex is really refreshing and new each time. But on the negative side, you are a serial killer. Oh, honey, I can't stay mad at you. Tell you what, you finish slashing that guy, I'll order us some toppers and we'll put on New Girl. Saw another really dumb thing. One of my, not a dumb thing. Like, I get the idea. Like, I understand where it's coming from. I always get really tense doing this joke. Cause, like, I've read, I'm reading the crowd good, so we're gonna do this. Like, I saw them post this, and I kind of had to think, because, like I said, I like the idea, I like the concept. It's a good understanding. But they had posted a picture of a very attractive woman with lingerie on, and it said on it, consent is sexy. Which is a nice idea, right? But the point of that picture was you see that, and that's not the thing you think. What's sexy in that picture is the lingerie. Like, oh, like, lingerie is one of those things where it's not necessary during sexual contact, but it's nice. That's sexy. Consent is one of those things where it's like, no, it's definitely mandatory. You gotta have that. Like it's never been a deal breaker because somebody hasn't been wearing leather chaps for me. And then to like congratulate somebody like, yeah, you get consent. Like, no, don't congratulate somebody for being a good, not law-breaking, horrible human being, right? Like, I've never once gone into a bank and gotten congratulated for making a withdrawal without robbing the place. Yes. Sir, I see you filled out a withdrawal form and you aren't holding a gun to my head. Have a sucker. You guys have been really great. I loved performing here at 6:30 in the morning. I told so many people I was going to be performing at 6:30, and I know a lot of them are tuned into the live stream because a lot of them set up that. So I don't know what the live stream numbers are right now, but I hope they're pretty good. Don't break the truth to me. I'm assuming there's 3,000 people watching right now. 2,000? That's a huge number. That is huge. Okay. But I'm gonna close down on a little bit of a serious note with my set. Something that I think is important. You hear people talk a lot about how they deal with things like depression and that kind of stuff. So I just want to tell a little story from 2014, and people are like, "Pher, you have a lot of dark stuff in your comedy. Like, don't you think there's some things you should take seriously?" And I don't know. It's kind of hard to do because let's see. Back in 2014 was a weird year for me. I had just gotten out of an incredibly emotionally and verbally abusive relationship with low-key Nazi from earlier in my set. I had lost I had switched jobs and fallen behind financially, and I'd, unbeknownst to me, had a hernia that was going to be getting repaired later. Didn't know it at the time, and it was very weird. And in October, I was like, you know what, man, I'm out. Like I'm tapping out of this. So did everything necessary to get ready for that. And sat in my car in my garage, turned on Wilco's Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, and started writing my notes and just kind of waiting, doing my thing. And as I got to the note that I was writing to my then 4-year-old daughter, having to explain to her why it was that she probably was going to have to make things work on her own without her dad her whole life. Jesus, Etc. came on. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that song. If you're not, look it up. It's really good. It's from like the greatest album ever. And it all, like at that point, just kind of clicked. Like, you know what? I can't take anything too seriously because it doesn't work for me. So turned off the car, went in, lived my life, wrote a joke about it. So now, whenever anybody asks me, "Hey, Pher, like, why can't you take anything seriously?" I look right at them and I've got my answer, and I say to them, "I tried that once, and that shit almost killed me." Thank you guys. You've been wonderful. Die laughing. I love you guys. Thank you so much for the time. Let's get your MC back up here to kill time for 5 minutes because I ran 5 minutes short. Sorry about that. I've got to figure out how I'm going to get all this shit off stage.
All right. Pher Sturz, everyone. Just one more big round of applause. That was awesome.